Every time you twist the key in your ignition or hear the roar of a jet engine, you are participating in the final act of a story that took 300 million years to write. We live in a world that literally runs on ancient sunlight trapped in a liquid form. But there is a question that has been looming over us since the first oil well was drilled in Pennsylvania back in 1859. How much of this stuff is actually left, and are we really about to run out of it? You have probably seen the headlines for decades claiming that we only have 50 years of oil left. Yet every time that deadline approaches, the clock seems to magically reset. To understand why we are not walking everywhere yet, we have to talk about the difference between what is physically in the ground and what we can actually get out. Imagine a massive sponge soaked in oil, buried miles beneath the surface. For a long time, we only had the technology to lightly squeeze the sponge, taking the easiest 40% and leaving the rest behind. But recently, we have started using high-pressure water and chemical mixtures to wring that sponge dry. This is why the global reserve numbers keep climbing, even as we burn through 100 million barrels every single day. The current consensus among energy geologists is that there are about 1.7 trillion barrels of proven oil reserves currently sitting in the tanks of the Earth. If we keep consuming it at our current pace, that math gives us until roughly the year 2070 before the taps go dry. But that number is a massive oversimplification that ignores how the global economy actually functions. The first thing you need to realize is that we are not just looking for oil in the easy places anymore. We have moved from the shallow deserts of the Middle East to the crushing depths of the Atlantic Ocean and the frozen tundra of the Arctic. In the early 2000s, the United States was considered an aging oil power. But then the shale revolution happened. By using hydraulic fracturing, we unlocked vast oceans of oil trapped inside dense rock that no one thought was worth a dime 20 years ago. This one technological jump added decades to the global countdown. Then there are the Canadian oil sands, which contain enough viscous bitumen to power the planet for a generation if we are willing to pay the environmental and financial cost to process it. This leads us to the reality of peak oil, which is a term that people often misunderstand. Peak oil is not the moment the world physically runs out of oil. It is the moment when it becomes too expensive or technically difficult to extract more than the year before. We are not going to wake up one day to empty gas stations across the globe. What will happen instead is that the cost of reaching the next barrel will become higher than the value that barrel provides to society. We will leave trillions of gallons of oil in the ground, not because it is gone, but because it is no longer worth the effort. Think about it like a giant ATM that charges a $5 fee for every $1 you withdraw. The money is still in the machine, but you would be crazy to keep taking it out. This brings us to the biggest shift in history, which is the transition to alternative energy. For the first time since the Industrial Revolution, the deadline for oil is being set by us, not by the Earth. As electric vehicles become the standard and shipping moves toward hydrogen or biofuels, our demand for that 1.7 trillion barrels will start to crater. We are currently in a race between two different endings. One where we drill until the very last drop is gone, and one where we simply stop caring about what is left in the ground. Most experts now believe we will reach peak demand by the end of this decade. Once that happens, the question of how much is left becomes almost irrelevant because the world will have already moved on to the next chapter. So, while there is enough oil to last us another 50 to 100 years at current rates, the chances are very high that most of it will stay exactly where it has been for millions of years. We are not running out of oil any more than the Stone Age ran out of stones. We are just finding a better way to move forward. If you found this dive into the planet's hidden resources fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden mechanics of our world. What do you think will happen first? The oil running out, or us switching to electric entirely? Let me know in the comments below.